most definitely that's where you are. Not just a frequency, but a family. 99.7 FM. We're revving up. 18th day of Christmas. I'm ahead of time, right? 17th day of Christmas. So let's take this from Kwamba and we'll get into our festive series and continue food safety.
Joy 99.7 FM. On the fifth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a cry. Oh.
Right, with that, you're most welcome to Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Nortey by Nature. Last week we started our Festive Season Series and we took a look at food safety. We're continuing that with Mr. Kofi Essel. He's the director of the Industrial Support Services Directorate at the Food and Drugs Authority. Kofi is with us in the studio. Food safety. Last week we talked about many things from the source, the processing, the packaging, and the handling of food that may compromise the safety of the food and increase the potential, the probability of foodborne diseases and complications. Kofi Esel is with us in the studio. If you have any questions, concerns ahead of this festive period where many pre-packaged and other forms of food will be put on the market at your disposal, share them with us. 055 11 11 997. This is Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7
Joy
FM.
99.7 FM.
Uncle Kofi,
Ni?
are you feeling the Xmas buzz?
In fact, I've seen the fanciful lightings and the Christmas trees, and occasionally you tune into radio stations and you hear one or two Christmas carols,
Right.
and as usual. But I think this week we'll see more, and then the atmosphere has also changed. I mean, the Hamatan, the usual Hamatan,
Okay.
whether that is associated with Christmas,
Right.
I think the breeze is all indicative of the fact that, yes,
Okay.
we are very close to,
We can smell it.
we can smell it.
All right. Hopefully we can all enjoy it.
No, but see, these
safely.
days, the Christmas is not like our days. You know, I was born and bred at Abosokai.
Oh.
And so, typical Gambo.
So by now you'd have done your blue nyachu
you say it.
with the palm front.
With the palm fronds,
Yeah,
but
man.
you don't see them these days.
Uh-huh.
You know, we will go look for palm fronds, cut them, and you see the boys in the area will have to build them. There's a
Look at the
competition.
smile on your face. Recalling your assistant Kobolo days. But that was it, eh?
Oh, it was nice.
Yeah?
You know, it was nice. And I was telling my daughter the last time that I recall we go for parties and a bottle of Fanta will be shared among 3 kids. You have these cups and then they pour them into these cups and they go round. You don't drink directly from the
Joy
bottle.
If you're not
99.7
lucky, you have an older cousin or sibling
Uh-huh.
holding the whole bottle, responsible for distribution and allocation.
You will get just
And they'll give you a little
of the Fanta.
Ah,
You know?
right? And you're so happy.
But these days they have all these drinks around,
Yeah.
and then they bring them all year round. Chicken is something that
Charlie.
you know, and so so the euphoria.
You're
and
not getting it. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's come cut to chase and come back to food safety. We said the series of processes, policies, laws that guarantee the safety of food all the way from the production site or farms, manufacturing sites, and so on. Its handling, its processing, and its packaging. And we learned from you that at any stage of this spectrum, it is possible to compromise the safety of the food, and thereby food safety processes. And food safety encompasses all the processes, laws, procedures that secure or seek to guarantee the safety of the food. Am I right?
Sure.
Yeah. So we looked at some of the things that logically are handled by other state structures and agencies. But coming back to what we discussed with you last week, a lot of people were calling in about leftover food, managing food, and so on and so forth. We understood that we could introduce pathogens and increase the likelihood or the potential of foodborne illnesses or diseases. So we talked about that. But today I want to move to the area of pre-packaged foods. Many of the stuff we see on our shelves are packed. They are packaged. All right. And my understanding from reading is that even with packaging or pre-packaged food, there is the potential that food safety may be compromised. So let's talk about it. When we say pre-packaged food, what kind of things are we talking about, Uncle Kofi?
Well, thank you very much. And once again, let's say Merry
Joy
Christmas in advance to all your
99.7 FM.
and viewers online and all that. When you talk about prepackaged food, basically you're talking about food that is packaged in a container. Okay, with some minimum information that either by law or by industry's own practice is supposed to inform consumers about how to use the product, what went in or what has gone into the product production, how to prepare the product if it is a product that has to be prepared again,
Right,
and all that. And so In a prepackaged foods, you have foods that are, say, packaged in laminated boxes or paper laminates or cans or glass bottles or plastics and all that.
Right.
Okay. So all these foods that are contained in a form of containment will constitute prepackaged food. Some of them may be in a raw state. Some of them may be ready to eat. Some of them may be pre-prepared or pre-cooked that you have to process further. Some of them may come within a modified atmosphere, what we call the MAP packaging. All right, with a modified atmosphere or modified atmospheric packaging, it is a way of preserving the food further or presenting it further. So if you take let me take a very common product people can associate with. Take Nkate burger. For example, you see it that puffy. Okay, and you open it and there's a gas that comes out. You feel that puffy sound.
So it's supposed to be puffed up.
Yes, but you have some that may not be. That may not have the modified atmospheric packaging. And so this one you flash gas into it. Okay, and the gas, because this peanut and it has oils and all that, it may go rancid. And so you flash an inert gas into it. That is food safe. All right. So the inert gas will not change the functionality.
So it's serving a purpose.
It serves a purpose. So all modified atmospheric packaged foods, the gas that is used has a purpose, and the idea is to preserve the food, extend the shelf life and all that, and preserve the crispiness or maybe prevent rancidity or things of that nature. So when we talk about prepackaged foods, you are dealing with all these foods,
whole range of things,
the whole range of products,
and the whole range of processes,
packaging, and then they have gone through different sorts of packages. Some are ready to eat, some are fresh or raw. Some will have to be prepared further because they have been pre-prepared and all that. And they will always come with information on the packaging. Okay, so unlike Gary that you're going to buy with Olonka, once the Gary goes into a form of a packaging, okay, and it eases distribution or transportation of the product and all that. Okay. So beyond preservation, it also helps with information. It helps with handling and then transportation and what have you.
Right, great stuff. 21 minutes past the hour of 2 on Joy 99.7 FM. The program with me, Nortey by Nature, is Ultimate Health, your ultimate guide to healthy living. This and every Sunday, 2:05. We bring all the issues, so long as they impact on your health, your well-being, your life. We will talk about them. Today we're doing that, continuing that with Kofi Essel. He's the director at the Industrial Support Services Directorate of the Food and Drugs Authority. We're looking at food safety, especially, particularly and emphatically during this period where everything is out there. Everybody wants to sell what they've got. They want to clear out their stores, right? What kind of things should you be looking out for? What kind of tips, telltale things would indicate if that food you're about to consume or even purchase is compromised with regard to food safety? Uncle Kofi is just sharing with us that the food should be packaged. There are different types of packages. There are different types of things that are done to the food in the package or added to the food in there to preserve it, to make it safe, to keep it fresh and in a particular state, right? He adds essentially also that food or prepackaged food must come with information, right? Either by law or by industry standard. You, the consumer, the person who procures, must be equipped and provided with information. We'll go into the details of what should be on a label, what kind of information, how should it be presented, and whether the lack of that information constitutes a challenge to food safety. You can share with us 055 11 11 997, and shortly I'll activate the phone line. So, Uncle Kofi, food is packaged, right? There are different types of packaging. So you just talked about Nkate burger. So if I buy carton juice, it's also a sort of packaging. There are probably some processes that must have been undertaken to keep that juice in a certain state, right? You mentioned critically last week that no food is stable or sterile. There's always something going on with food, right? And we seek to control and manage those processes as we prepare and process the food, right? So as soon as you change the conditions, then those things become more active. All right. So packaged food. let's look at the information. What should I see on packaged food, right?
Okay.
And also, I want to understand if that information is not up to required standard, would that maybe flag the food, right, as perhaps not safe?
Okay.
Right.
All right. So first and foremost, let us understand that the type of packaging that is selected for any particular food depends on a number of factors.
Okay.
Okay. The state of the food, the nature of the food, the presentation of the food will make the manufacturer select a particular product,
Okay.
a particular packaging for that food.
Right.
Why would you put beers not in Tetra Pak like boxes?
Okay.
But you put them in glass bottles.
Okay.
Their traditions, things, and
Right.
so all these things come into. But the most important thing is that the packaging material to serve the purpose of a barrier, and that barrier is to prevent exchanges of gas. The packaging should be such that it's able to withstand any pressure that is put on it
Okay.
to preserve the food.
Right.
So that is very, very critical. And not all that go into the planning or the design of the packaging of the food and how it should be transported and what have you.
Okay.
Okay. Now you asked the question about information. By law, if you take the LI 15, the LI 1541
Right.
of 2000, the labeling information that is required for food, and that has to do with the Ghana standards.
Okay.
All right. It talks about the fact that every pre-packaged food should have a name prescribed by law.
The name of the
A
food.
name prescribed by law.
Okay.
All right. And that name should be descriptive. So, for example, if you have a mixed cereal food,
Right.
like these Tom Browns and
Okay,
all that.
right.
All right. So you should the name of the product. So let me call it Nortey breakfast cereal.
Okay.
Okay. If I say Nortey breakfast cereal, if it is a single cereal product,
Okay.
that is it. But if it is a multi-cereal product, then it should carry that information.
Right.
So when I display the product on a shelf, anyone who sees it will know that this is a multi-cereal product.
Okay.
So the name of the product should be descriptive and should inform the consumer what it is.
Okay.
So there should a name prescribed by law.
Right.
Then secondly, you go into the list of ingredients. For single ingredient product, so not say granite paste.
Okay.
That's the name. So it tells me this is granite, but it's not a chewable granite, but
Right.
it's the paste form.
It's paste.
If I do not put a list of ingredients, everybody will know that granite paste has nothing else but granite
Okay.
in it.
Right.
But for some multi-ingredient product, you are
Right.
required to
You
definitely
must list the
the ingredients.
Okay.
And you list them by ingoing weight.
Okay.
So if it is a multi-cereal product and have 60% maize, 20% rice, 30% wheat, all right, 60, 30, 10.
Right.
So which one counts first? Maize, 60%. This,
And then
30%.
wheat.
10%.
Okay. So the larger
The component,
Component.
the ingredient would determine
it is listed.
it is listed accordingly. We have the
Accordingly.
ingoing weight.
So if a product has a lot of sugar, then sugar should come high up or early in the list.
If that is how the product is
Yeah.
formulated.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
If that's the product formulated.
Okay.
All right. But we shouldn't also forget there are certain products, for instance, we have what we call the play functional roles in the preparation.
Okay.
For example, if I have kinky, packaged kinky. I know I use water in the preparation of the kinky. Water doesn't become an ingredient that has to list.
Okay. Right.
All right.
Okay.
But so we have the name of the product. We have the list of ingredients. The third thing that the law requires you to put on the product is the full name and address of the producer,
Right.
the manufacturer. If it is an imported product, it could be that of the importer,
Right.
or it could be that of the agent. That
Okay.
is what the law requires.
Right.
There should be an address that we can trace.
Okay.
Now we've gone further to require local manufacturers because of the GPS address systems that we have now,
Okay.
digital address,
Right.
that you have to indicate your location address.
Okay.
All right. So if you don't even put there your postal address, your location address. So let me say emphatically
Yeah.
that we want your location address. The location address is what is required on your product.
Okay.
So let me go back. The name of the product, the list of ingredients, full name and address of the manufacturer.
Okay.
All right. The fourth thing has to do with the country of origin.
Right.
So it is a product of Ghana. It is a produce of Ghana. It is prepared in Ghana. It is produced in Ghana. Right. The fifth thing has to do the net content will have to be declared.
Okay.
Either in SI units. So either it is grams or kilograms, or in volumes. You have milliliters or liters or what have you.
Okay.
The fifth thing or the sixth thing that we'll mention will be the batch code.
Batch code.
Batch code, or batch number, or the lot number.
Okay.
They have the production date. You have the best before date.
Okay.
Now these 8 listed information are mandatory.
Mandatory.
So the name of the product prescribed by law, the list of ingredients, the full name and address of the manufacturer, the country of origin, the net content, the batch code, the best before date, and then the manufacturing date.
Okay, great. Many thanks.
This will be mandatory.
It must be there.
Yes.
All right.
But for other products, there are additional requirements. Take alcoholic beverages, for example.
Okay.
You have to make a declaration of the net alcohol content on the product.
Right.
And you're also required to indicate some caution statement. Not suitable for pregnant women, or not recommended for pregnant women, should be sold to persons 18 years and above, and drink responsibly.
Right.
So this information will have to be
there. It's also required.
If you take infant formula, because of the breastfeeding promotion regulation, LI 1667, you are supposed to make a declaration on that product that breast milk is superior to infant formula.
Okay.
It's supposed to be on it.
Right.
If you take infant formula again, you are required to show how the product will have to be prepared. Including the hygienic preparation of the containers and the feeding bottle and what have you. Okay. So there, besides you have additional information. Take energy drinks, for example, that it is not suitable for a person below 18. If it is caffeinated product, you have to warn people that this is a caffeinated product and not suitable for persons who are sensitive to caffeine and what have you.
Okay.
There are some products you have to prepare them before you use them.
Okay.
Because consumers are considered lazy. And therefore you are supposed to help the consumer know how to handle the product. It's required of you to show how the product should be prepared.
Okay.
If the storage conditions are very necessary, that the consumer should know how to handle the product when it is open.
Right.
That is why on some products you see that once opened, transfer into a sealable container and keep refrigerated and use within 3 days.
Right.
Okay. All this information are information that you, the manufacturer.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying, that if you you may not have that mandate, or it may not be a mandatory requirement, but as an industry practice, because you know that the consumer needs this information to be able to use the product to satisfy the need for which he bought the product. Make that information available.
All right.
Besides this, when you go to some jurisdiction, for example, because of claims of religious claims and all that, there are certain claims that you also put on product, may be a requirement.
Okay.
Take, for example, among the Jews, if you want to declare the product is kosher, because they have a Jewish approach, a religious approach for preparing food. The Muslims have what we call halal.
Right.
All right. For some foods, the manufacturer may say that this food is prepared in a facility which is HACCP or HACCP certified.
Right.
When you put those things on a product, they become claims.
Right.
And a regulator will require you to justify
the claims you make.
The claims that you are making.
All right.
All right. So you have mandatory labeling information that is required of you.
Okay.
Take, for example, the ingredients.
Let me just break in for a second. And folks, if you just joined us, we're still talking about food safety with Kofi Essel of the Food and Drugs Authority. He's just listing the information required on pre-packaged foods. And the context and the understanding is that this all serves and is designed to enhance food safety. In the absence of this information, the food may be wrongly packaged, wrongly used, wrongly consumed, right? And that is why we're going through this whole list, not just for Christmas, but because the purchasing is almost on impulse during this period, the festive period. We want to make sure you are aware and have these things at your fingertips. If you have any questions, concerns, phone line is 030-221-6541. 030-221-6541. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, unless I'm otherwise informed. Yeah, both are active. And WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. You're on Joy 99.7 FM.
Joy 99.7
Oh yeah, in
FM.
I see you. Afishapa to you. I know you be jamming. But thanks for joining us as usual. If you have any questions, share them with us. WhatsApp, and I've already announced the phone lines. You can ask those questions. So, Uncle Kofi, we've got all this information. It's supposed to be there. Most of it, a huge chunk of it, is mandatory, right? You are required to by many policies, laws, and so on and so forth. Before this food is pre-packaged, I know for local production, for example, FDA examines or assesses the place of production and all those things, and they issue licenses and so on that indicates that the food product is recognized and certified as what it claims to be by the FDA. I'm curious, you didn't mention that in the list of mandatories, that there should be some certification or notification or information on the status of the food product with regard to the FDA.
Well, what I mentioned basically has to do with you have the Ghana standards for labeling.
Right.
Of prepackaged food. Mm-hmm. So what I mentioned
was the overall,
the generic,
the
generic one.
Okay.
Once the food is registered, especially for local foods, you will see the Food and Drugs Authority's registration number.
Okay.
All right, and it is different from the facility number.
Okay.
So if your facility is licensed, you don't transfer the facility number to the product number.
Okay.
To the product. It is a product that is registered.
Right.
That has. So we're supposed to have that registration number.
Okay.
All right. And that registration number always is preceded with the initials of FDA, and then you have the product code. Then you have the product, the FDA, the product code, the year of registration, and then the number of that particular product.
That's a lot of numbers.
So yeah, so you have the FDA. The product code, which is usually a 2-digit product.
Okay.
A 2-digit
code.
No, the FDA will be 3 letters.
Okay.
Right? Then you have a 2-letter code for the product.
All right.
Every product, based on classification, will have a 2-letter code.
Okay.
The first letter is always the capital. The second letter is a small letter.
Right.
And then you have 2 digits of the year of manufacture.
Okay.
And then will be separated with a hyphen, and you see the product number, the registration number of that particular product.
So this code or this FDA, sequence of letters and numbers and so on must be on all locally produced products?
Yes.
What about imported products?
For imported product, because of trade challenges, and you not see them on all these products. So we compensate that with the register.
Okay.
Where when you go on the FDA platform,
you can check
for the registration number of that particular product.
Of the product.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I think every now and then we try as much as possible to update it. And so if you go there now and it is not there, there's most likely that they are working on it.
Okay.
It should be available to anyone. And at any rate, if you don't also find it there and you are in doubt, you can always call the FDA, and definitely somebody will respond to that request of checking for the registration status of that particular product that you're looking for.
If in doubt, call the FDA, and Uncle Kofi provided the number for the FDA: 055 111 224. 055 111 224. Or before people complain, 055 111 2224. You can call the FDA on this number and complain.
It's a WhatsApp. It's a WhatsApp line as well.
Right. It's also a WhatsApp, and I see the same indicated for the different Facebook and Twitter and so on and so forth.
Yep.
Right. And then the FDA is at fda.gov.gh. So you can key in a product name and check if it's registered.
Sure.
Okay. Right. The day in Maryland. Hey, Afishapa to you. This typically would have been your period then, where you are in Ghana. But since COVID, Charlie, no, since before COVID, you haven't come. Right. He listed all the required info that should be on the container, but I don't think he mentioned the expiry date. Okay. I think
I mentioned best before date.
Best before, yeah.
Yeah. So every jurisdiction will have the way they will express the period of minimum durability. Gradually, the food industry is moving away from the expression expiry date to best before date, and it has some technical explanation. So today, if I mention best before date, or expiry date, or whichever date, use by date, display by date,
right?
All right. Different foods will have different minimum period of durability that is displayed or that is shown in the product.
Okay.
And there's a reason for it. You cannot put a best before date for salads.
Okay.
For salads, if you see a date marking on a salad, you usually will say display by date.
Right.
Means that beyond that date, and for some time, for some products, you may not even see the date, you may see the time. Because it's supposed to be consumed within the day.
Within a certain day.
Within the day. Right. And so you will not see a date on it.
Right.
You rather see a time.
Right.
So if you see the time 17:05, it means that beyond 5 p.m.
Right.
you can display that product for sale again.
Okay. Right.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We went through some of these last week, but thanks for drawing attention again. The day in Maryland. If you have any questions, concerns, WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997.
And you will realize that I also didn't mention nutrition fact.
Yeah.
The reason being that currently in Ghana, nutrition fact declaration is not a mandatory requirement.
Okay.
But fortunately, because of non-communicable diseases that are linked to nutrition, the Ghana Health Service and the FDA are working towards that.
Okay.
And so in no time, it will become a requirement.
Right.
Such that when you package any food, it is important that the consumer is made aware how much calories the person is adding on to his daily intake.
Right.
In terms of carbohydrates, in terms of fat, protein, salts, and other minerals and what have you.
Okay.
All right. The challenge that we are having is that you do not have adequate facilities, commercial facilities that will help the industry come up or maybe analyze these products.
To verify. Okay.
Okay. We have very limited capacity. Currently, if you take Ghana Standards Authority or say the Food Research, they cannot do the entire, scope of vitamins that you may have in some of these products.
Right.
And so if you see someone take moringa powder, and you go to read in on Google, that moringa has all these vitamins, and therefore you make a declaration of them that you have moringa powder, and therefore it has
all
vitamin K, it has this. FDA will ask you to justify it.
Okay.
And then that becomes a challenge to you because you probably will not have the opportunity to, as it were, analyze that.
Okay.
And let us also be very careful here. For those who prepare food and then they go on the internet and then they read about similar food somewhere, and then they make a declaration of these nutrients and then
so you can't go and cut and paste.
No.
Right, a similar product in
the
US.
Moringa that is grown in Seshi, and the moringa that is grown in Accra, or moringa that is grown in the north,
also known as Yevuchi,
you see, may have different composition of these nutrients,
right?
Because of the availability of the minerals in the soil. And so when you go to pick this information in literature, scientifically, it doesn't make it right.
Okay.
And that is why you as a manufacturer will have to analyze the product. There have been some attempts to use softwares. And so you put in the food ingredients and then the software will generate some nutritional information to tell you that based on that. But it is not allowed in all jurisdictions.
Okay, right.
Okay, so if you're in America and then you're a manufacturer there and you're doing that, when you come to Ghana, you tell me you did this by this software.
Okay.
Has it been validated?
Right.
How do I know that the software used and information provided is adequate? No.
All right.
The laboratory test will give us the right information.
Okay, 42 minutes past the hour. 2 on Joy 99.7 FM. We're still doing food safety for the Yuletide period. If you have any questions, concerns, WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997 and the phone line is active 030-221-6541. I'm with Kofi Esel of the FDA. Linda Inosu, Afishapa to you and your husband and the family listening and learning as usual. Merry Christmas, many thanks, and season's greetings to you as well. So let's have your questions. Uncle Kofi, so this is information that should be on the package.
Sure.
Is there anything that we can quickly spot on a package? Let's use a couple of examples. Let's say it's carton juice. Let's say it is canned product. Are there any telltale signs that could, indicate or suggest that the safety of the product is compromised?
Well, there are some obvious features. Bloating of the cans.
Let me just remind listeners that the FDA contacts, the numbers and everything are on our Facebook and YouTube as well. They are online, so you can get those numbers there. I have a caller on the line, Uncle Kofi. Hold on. Let me just take that. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Oti.
Yes, is this Oti?
Yeah, Oti Watson from Tema.
Right, Oti Afishapa. Share with us.
I think come back to it. I'm not online, so if you finish, you just mention it for me. So mention it again. The numbers again, I'll write it again. The numbers you call.
Oh, you want the numbers again? 055.
I have a question here. So let me finish the question.
Okay, ask the question then. Okay.
Yeah. I said, I want to ask the man is there.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah, I want to ask them, how can they have the QR code on any food item? So if you have a QR code, the app there, if you signal it, you put the label or something, you see that this food was expire this day. This day it's supposed to have this time expiring. So the food must be half of the place it is. Sometimes it's like 2 months, I think a day. And sometimes 1 day.
Okay.
1 day or 1 month. So we should have something to show that if we buy any food, we can just mark it and know that this date is on. This day, so we can say that, this one is like months to spoil for 2 months. So, go and take it to the house and give it a problem. Are they planning to do something like that?
Okay, right. Are you migrating to using QR codes to scan the veracity of the information, its status with the FDA and all that? He's suggesting that if you had this, then a consumer could just use the scan code and then act accordingly.
These things are evolving, and they evolve with technology.
Right.
All right. So availability of people in the community having Android phones or any of these smartphones that can read QR codes and all that. But if people are still using yams and what have you, you will probably want to stick to the conventional ways of providing information to consumers. But it's a laudable idea. In some areas where Android phones or smartphones have become the order of the day, and you never see anyone using yams and what have you, as we call them. Issues about these date markers. Yeah, you can easily put them on the code them into the QR codes. But let me quickly add this. Currently, we are working together with some partners, and we have something we call a proper seal.
Okay.
And another proper seal system is a structure that allows you to key in any consignment of products that you have brought in.
Okay.
All right. And so, for example, you brought in a certain quantity of product this year, this December. You key into that system the batch codes of the consignment that you brought in, the date markings and all that.
Okay.
I can sit in the office and tell that this particular batch numbers were brought in December.
Right.
And they will all expire in July 2024.
Okay.
If somebody attempts to change the batch, what do you call it, the expiry date on that product, and it comes to our attention, we can go into the system and then tell that this particular batch number, it should have expired in July.
Right.
And that is been tampered with.
It's been tampered with.
This we've started on a pilot. And currently, for all medicinal products, are registered onto this proper seal system.
Okay.
Now we've taken on canned foods.
Right.
So all canned foods are also going into it.
Okay.
And so let me also serve judicial notice to all those who are advised or caution to all those who attempt to change date markings on products. It will get to a time they will not be able to do that again. Because if you do it, and then we are looking at these other technologies that are coming in. The proper seal is a technology that has been made available to the FDA, and we have deployed.
You're deploying it gradually, progressively,
and so things of that nature. Currently, I think everybody will see how. The time pass when people will call you and tell you he's calling from MTN, and that you have won this and all that.
Right.
Frauds on mobile phones and all the mobile phones. You realize that over time it's becoming very unpopular. Because people have gotten to know the tricks, and then it will get a time all these things will be things of the past.
Okay.
But for the purposes of this Christmas, and then for the purposes of public education, we will still want people to understand that there are some key things that you can look out for when you are buying any canned foods or prepackaged foods.
Okay.
For canned foods, I've mentioned the fact that it can be bloated. So look out for signs of bloating.
Right.
And when a product is bloated, you can usually pick it from the ends. You see the ends will pop up.
Okay.
And then you look out for signs of leakages.
Right.
All right. So if you see the product leaking or you've seen dents, okay, the things that we normally don't take care of are the dented cans.
Right.
Now, when cans are dented, what happens is that there is a lacquering or a lacquer that sort of separates the product or serves as a barrier between the content of the cans and the metal that is used
inside the can.
Inside the cans, you have the lacquer.
Film of lacquer.
Yes.
That protects it from direct contact with metal.
So that because the food acids in the food will react with the metals, produce hydrogen, and it poison the food and all that. That is why you have to have that lacquering.
Okay.
When the product becomes dented, the lacquering wears out.
Okay.
And then the content now begins to react with the cans.
With the can itself.
And then the production of hydrogen in the product makes it poisonous. And therefore, when you are selecting any canned food, you are advised to desist from picking dented cans.
Right.
Most importantly, when the dents occur at the seams. And so if it is a 3-can product where you have 2 ends that are seamed together and you have the body seam,
right?
All right, and then the dent occurs at any of these seams,
right?
They become very dangerous.
Okay,
all right. So people should be very careful of picking dented cans.
All right. Okay. 50 minutes past.
And rusty cans.
Yes. Okay. Did they ask BPA? That's is it
bisphenol A?
Yeah. A free and all these notifications that say that a product is free of certain chemicals. Especially plastic containers and so on and so forth. Are they true? Are they verified? Or is it just a gimmick or a hype?
Not just we mentioned that anytime you put any information on the product, a regulator will have to ask for justification.
Okay.
And so if you make a claim that a particular bottle is bisphenol A free, and then you don't just put it there, we'll have to come after you and ask you to justify it.
Right.
You recall quite recently, some people were taking off for greenwashing. And when we say greenwashing, they make a claim that this product is recycled and then all that, just to make a claim that they're environmentally conscious and all that. And so you are greenwashing consumers just to win their favors.
Right.
What we've observed is the organic washing. Okay, people are making claims, all kinds of claims that this is organic. You know, what makes it organic? There is a certain requirement that you have to meet before you can claim and say that it is organic.
Right.
And so don't just say that because this is a local fowl. Okay, fiakoko. If Yakuko be organic, no, it doesn't make it organic.
Right.
If Yakuko running around picking food on the floor, picking plastics, eating on the boiler, and what have you, what makes that doesn't make it organic? Organic.
Right, but I'm glad you bring this. So, how do you protect, guarantee, secure, ensure food safety in these kind of gray areas? Okay, somebody says organic, all right, and I may even see the FDA stamp or number on it. Does it presuppose that that has been verified, that claim has been verified?
Once a product has a claim and the product is brought to the FDA and we have given a nod for the product to be marketed, it means that whatever claim is on the product has been verified. If, for instance, you decide to go and change the packaging after the registration is done, all right, FDA has every right to withdraw that product and then slap serious administrative charges on you because you have deceived us. We did not verify the product for organic certification or organic claims. After the registration was done, then you decide to go and so one of the requirements for registering product with us or for seeking for market authorization is for you to give us a label of the packaging that you're going to put out there. And it is in our database. And so our officers who go for market surveillance have a data glass where they can key, they see the product in trade, they key in the name of the product into the data glass, and it pulls out for us to see that this is the product that was registered.
Okay.
Even when someone is imitating your product, all right, and there are certain features. I'll give you a typical example. This baked beans product, very popular one.
Right.
Heinz,
right?
Okay. Heinz baked beans, if my memory serves me right, is packaged in an aluminium, white, let me put it that way, white cans. Then all of a sudden we go into training, we see Heinz baked beans packaged in the gold can.
Right.
So immediately you raise suspicion that there's something wrong here. And lo and behold, someone who has brought in baked beans and was not selling.
Right. Wants to benefit
Waited
from the brand.
until there was some scarcity of Heinz baked beans. Goes to this popular area, Accra Newtown, printing house Hope.
Yeah.
Okay, to go and print labels of Heinz baked beans. And I was changing the labels of his baked beans.
Okay, so this can be picked up and detected.
It can be picked up and detected.
We have a few minutes left, and we have to also switch over for live coverage of our 9 lessons and carols. Please, is it true that the best before date does not mean that the product has expired, but rather it means that the product tastes best before that date? Last week we covered this, and we said that...
Let me repeat myself. These declarations are minimum period of durability. What it means in essence is that the manufacturer says, whether he stated as expiry, best before, what have you, that beyond this date, I cannot guarantee the safety and the quality of the product. So whether it was declared as expiry date, I don't want to go into the technicalities, but for you as a consumer, take it that whatever date that is declared on the product, I will advise you, beyond that date, don't use the product. Okay? Technically, what we are saying is that the manufacturer says, look here, I cannot guarantee the safety, the quality. So if I cannot even guarantee the safety, or the safety is even okay, but the quality I cannot guarantee, what it means is that when you use the product, you may not get the same thing.
Okay.
There was something I was experimenting. Soap has expiry date on it.
Okay.
And somebody was asking, my wife was asking, why should there be expiry date on soap? And you realize that when the soap expires, its foaming capacity goes down. I get my point.
Yeah.
You might think that, can soap expire?
Right.
Yes. Beyond the date that is declared, the foaming capacity being goes down. That is a quality issue. And once it cannot foam properly, its ability to bring about cleansing is compromised.
Right.
All right. But this is soap. But with food, beyond this date, if it's an issue about the package, because over time, the environment acts on the packaging and all that, the porosity may go down. All these things are taken into account before we give a date, or we state a date of minimum durability. Okay? That beyond this date, nobody can guarantee the safety and the quality of the product.
Okay.
So don't use the product. If it's in your custody at home, and you want to play with your life, and you want to use it beyond the date, it is your own wahala.
Right.
But if you even give it somebody as a gift during this Christmas, the oil is supposed to expire in November, and you gave it as a gift this December to somebody who is a neighbor for free, and that person eats the product, and something happens to the person. Be mindful and know that there is a provision in the Public Health Act, Part 7, that the FDA will hold you responsible for giving out something as a gift that was not safe for consumption. And it includes parties. So those who be organizing parties, be careful of the food that you serve. If it is rice and if it is salads and all that, they should be on ice. People should not be invited to your house to come and eat banku and tilapia and fall ill. If anybody goes to the hospital after that, and it shows that the banku and the tilapia was eaten in your premises and they fell ill, don't say that, as defense, so I didn't charge them. It was a party. I gave it to them for free. No, the law will take you on.
All right, we're almost running out of time. Quick one, just a quick direct response to this. Uncle Kofi, are you able to do food or product recalls in Ghana?
We do that.
You do?
We do that a lot.
Okay. Is it effective? When you say batch number, this, does it really happen? We hear the announcement.
Because we are giving, we go into your operations and we get to see the quantities of that particular batch that has been affected. And we ask you to do a recall.
Okay.
And we look at your recall potential.
Right.
what quantities have been recalled and all that. And then after that, we ensure that the product is disposed of appropriately. And so recalls are done, and it is done all the time.
Okay. All right. So we have that capacity.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So your complaints and your feedback is very, very important to the FDA. What is the FDA doing about hot food to ingest, like banku that is wrapped in polythene and plastic bags and sometimes exposed to the sun for sale? Does one realize the chemical reaction of hot food and the polythene? And there's been a lot of talk about this and the illness or sicknesses that may come from it. While countries have banned this, I've noticed that this is the craze in Ghana. Styrofoam as a food container is almost phased out in many countries. Dede is asking, quick answer on this. Hot foods, plastics.
The first question is that these plastics were not designed.
We have a minute. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were not designed for such foods. Okay, nobody has done any what do you call it? Stability studies on them.
Right.
My advice that I've always given to people is that, you see, we introduce certain things without any scientific background to them. Okay, but I'm also very careful to just jump to a conclusion and say that it is dangerous, because I don't also have that information as much as possible. And where you have a scientific community challenge, or the scientific community is not, unanimously addressing the issue as it is, regulators find it very difficult to take certain position unless there is a compelling, legal position that is compelling us. Take for styrofoam, for example, what we call the takeaway packs and all that. These ones are not designed for microwave.
Okay.
Please. So those who go and buy these foods, or they go for funerals and these foods are put in styrofoam boxes, and you put them in microwaves, or banku in rubber and you put it in microwave. Please, there are microwave safe containers.
Right.
Put the food in a microwave safe container and then microwave it. Okay.
Right.
And that is how the safety of your food will be assured. Otherwise, you have these steamers. Okay, you put the food on the steaming pot, which can be placed in hot water, because you don't want the banku to disintegrate.
Right.
Because if you put the banku in hot water and boil it for reheating, it will break up and turn into cocoa.
Right.
But you have these containers with holes in them with stands. Put the stand.
So then you steam it.
You steam it.
Okay.
And it will just come out as boiled.
All right.
And please, those who have been preparing banku and keep them in containers and then eat them 3 days afterwards and all that. Please, maize or cereals attract molds.
Yeah.
And then some of these molds, aspergillus in particular, will form these mycotoxins, aflatoxins, and they're very dangerous.
Okay.
And so it is always better, ideally, keep your foods in a refrigerator.
Right.
Our mothers didn't know this, and a lot of us were exposed to aflatoxins in the past. Aflatoxins are not acute killers. They are chronic, and they will stay and accumulate, bioaccumulate, and then cause cancers of your liver.
Okay.
And so we should be very careful with these foods.
All right. Many thanks, Uncle Kofi. And today that he's on fire, we want to close on time, but we'll bring this topic back. Hayford in Bator was asking whether we'll be doing that or we'll be breaking because of the experts. We'll do all we can to educate you and protect you during this period. Kofi Essel is with the FDA. He's the director of the Industrial Support Services Directorate. This is to Linda Kodria. This is your 65th birthday. You live at the Atomic Hills, or you worship at Atomic Hills Presby Praise Congregation at Shongman. This is from pharmacist Yoku to you, Lydia Kodria. Happy 65th birthday, Atomic Hills Presby Church Congregation. So that's it for today's program. Many thanks to Abe Kutan Kofi, my producer, and of course to you, my discerning listeners. We'll be back with another well-packaged, easy to digest Ultimate Health. Stick and stay on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll cross over to 9 lessons and carols at the Labadi Beach Hotel. Somebody was asking me where it is taking place. It's at the Labadi Beach Hotel. It's strictly by invitation. I'm sure if you're supposed to be there or if you were invited, you'll be aware of that. And then there's, I think, a live coverage we're crossing over to. Stick and stay on Joy 99.7 FM. My name, as always, Nortey by nature.